Let's go! LSU Pass Defense Film Study Week Part 2. So yesterday in Part 1, we were talking about how LSU's defense actually led the SEC in quite a few key statistics. And today in Part 2, we're going to share you why. We're going to share with you why, even though LSU led the SEC in those key statistics, they were still historically bad. So that was play number 1. We're going to focus in on just 2 plays and then get into a few other ones. Alrighty, here we go. Play number 2. So play number 1 was perfect. Play number 2, however, a little play action game to a wide open Kadarius Toney, okay? These were the first 2 plays of the entire football game, okay? So on play number 1, you just got to love what you see across here, okay? So in yesterday's piece, we talked about how LSU's pass rush was one of the best in the SEC. Well, on this play, even though we get some pocket pressure here from Farrell, pass protection overall is good. Kyle Trask has a clean pocket, but you notice across the way, the coverage is perfect. We have a safety over the top of here. We're hammering this flat. Cordell Flott, good job here on Toney. So, guess what? Kyle Trask picks this matchup, and look at this play by Eli Ricks. Look at that. All ball, and he pops right back up. So let's go ahead and show you the end zone camera view. This was perfect coverage. I love the philosophy. Safeties over the top. We're not going to get beat deep, and we're going to make sure Florida, without their transcendent tight end, Kyle Pitts, is going to beat us over the top. Well, we're not going to let them go over the top, right? That should have been the philosophy all game long. You get this end zone camera here. As you see, Kyle Trask is surveying the field. And this is good. This was something that the LSU defense really struggled with last season. It wasn't just giving up explosive plays. It was the easy explosive touchdowns. So many quarterbacks last season were just one read, wide open receiver, touchdown. But you notice on this play, we were able to force Kyle Trask to survey the field. And Eli Ricks, this is what I really love about him. Okay, so after doing this, look at how quickly he just pops right back up. He's such a smooth freaking athlete. It's unbelievable. I'm so excited to see him in year number 2. So, that's great. That was perfect coverage. Daronte Jones would be super excited about that. I'm about to be very critical of LSU, and trust me, I hate doing it. This is my favorite team in the world. But here we go. I want to talk about football philosophy, okay? I'm looking at you right now, okay? Wherever you're watching this, if you're in a premiere or if you're watching this, 10 years down the road, I don't care. Ask yourself this question. Which is more important to do? Is it more important to stop the pass or stop the run? Well, stopping the run's important. We did an entire week of run fit film study last week. I put a lot of time and effort into it. But as bad as LSU was at their run fits, they were even worse with their coverage. And stopping the pass is more important. Now, why is stopping the pass more important? Well, it's because passes are more effective plays, analytically and just common sense-wise, okay? LSU gave up 4.88 yards per rush, while they gave up 9.7 yards per attempt. No other SEC team has ever given up more than 9. So we were historically bad at defending the pass, even though, like we discussed in yesterday's film study, LSU led the SEC in a bunch of key defensive statistics. The guy who's about to get burned here, Cordell Flott, is having a tough season, and he's going up against one of the best SEC wide receivers who was a first-round pick by the New York Giants, okay? But notice, Cordell really doesn't get any help. He gets burned very easy. And I understand it's going to be easy to pile on Cordell Flott for this play. But you really can't, right? Okay, he's going up against a player who is unbelievable. And maybe Mo Hampton should have been a little bit more over the top. This is where personnel comes into play. And this is just not good secondary coaching overall. If this is their best wide receiver, and this is a corner on our team who's been burned more than anyone, our safety needs to be shading over here to help with Kadarius Toney. But remember, in play number 1, we had 2 deep safeties. So this is where the issue began, okay? And this is why I think the LSU defense was so poor last season, even though like we said in yesterday's video, LSU led in so many key categories. You notice what happens here, all right? As we go through slow motion, Jacoby Stevens runs to the box, okay? Now, this might have just been a rogue behavior. Maybe Jacoby Stevens says, look, I'm going to go. I think they're going to run the ball. I'm going to run and go into the box and make a play. Maybe. But what we're going to show you a few other plays in a second where this is just what LSU did, okay? This is what he is taught to do. And it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense, okay? Now, why doesn't it make sense? Well, number one, if we are struggling defending the deep pass, we need our safeties to stay deep. Now, I understand you can't just play too deep all game, but you can run some cover 3. You can run some quarters. Here's the thing. I don't want to get too much into technical coverage terms, but I want to just get into straight common sense. You really don't want to get beat deep against Florida because we want them to run the ball. This running back here, his name's Damian. I forgot his last. I think Damian Pierce. This season, or up to this point to this game, Damian Pierce only had 1 carry of 20 yards or more. So what does that tell you? Florida is not that great at running the football. Their offensive line's not that good. Damian Pierce is not a dynamic running back. So why do we need an extra safety to go into the box? Why are we biting on this play action? It makes no sense, right? Because that is what we want them to do. Ask yourself this question. Would you rather, and honestly, answer this in the chat. If you're watching this live, doesn't matter where you're watching this, or just answer this to yourself. Would you rather Kadarius Toney basically man-to-man against Cordell Flott, or would you rather a running back who is obviously not that great to run the football for potentially 4 or 5 yards? We'd much rather make sure we have safety help over the top at all times against their best player. He went by him so easy. And look, Jacoby Stevens is just sitting here. And we got 3 guys basically doing nothing. And here's something else, is even if we had safety help over the top on this snap, Eli Ricks does get beat. He does get beat bad on the slant. So if we did have a safety over the top, Kyle Trask would have just gone to this read. But would you rather the ball being thrown here for maybe, Ricks probably catches him for maybe 15, 20 yards, or would you rather this right here? And honestly, Elias Ricks, this was the only time where he really got beat bad in this game. More often than not, he's going to be able to stick with that slant, but still, we would much rather this football to be going here. So, as you could tell, Jacoby Stevens going into the box made absolutely no sense. But even if Florida had a great running game and we had a bad run defense, the pass is still a more effective play than the run. We want Florida, with their mediocre running back in particular and mediocre running game, to run the ball. We want to give them a 5-person box. We want to give them a light box. We want them to hand this football off here. Dan Mullen's offensive game plan is to get the ball down the field vertically. Our defensive game plan should be to prevent Dan Mullen from doing that. That should always be your number one question as a defense. What can you do to prevent the other team from doing what they do best? And in this case, throwing the football deep to guys like Kadarius Toney is what Florida did better than practically anyone outside of Alabama last season. Here's the good thing. At least LSU learned their lesson from this week, the next week when they played Ole Miss, right? So here we go. Same exact point of the game. 2nd and 12. And guess what? We're playing Ole Miss, a team just like Florida, who is not that great at running the football necessarily between the tackles, but they're really good at getting the football down the field. So we are definitely not going to commit so many guys into the box to leave open a wide open space. We are not going to commit the same exact penalty on 2nd and long to a team that doesn't necessarily like to run the football. We're not going to make that mistake again, are we? Oh. Well, we did do the exact thing that we showed on film the week before, okay? And as you guys learned yesterday, this was a play we broke down yesterday. This play went for 60 yards. So here's the reverse angle of it. We are doing the exact same thing here, but this time Jacoby Stevens' pre-snap was already in the box, okay? There's no wide receivers over here. There's no way that Ole Miss would take advantage of the space. This tight end right here, of course, slipped it. And look at all this wide open space. And remember yesterday, we were talking about how LSU was actually the best team in the SEC when it comes to havoc and pressure. But it doesn't matter if you needlessly commit guys into the box and you allow all the space to be open. And here we go again. This one's a little bit earlier in the year. We're up 17-7. So Felipe Franks had just thrown essentially a pick six to Jabril Cox. We returned it to the 1 yard line and we pounded into the end zone on the road against Arkansas. And as you guys remember, at this point in the season, we were really struggling, okay? But here we go. We are starting to dominate this football game, right? 17-7. Now, notice we do not have Elias Ricks, okay? And at this point of the game, I believe Elias Ricks had been ejected for targeting. This is one of the best deep threats in the Southeastern Conference. You can't really see it because the scoreboard is blocking it here. But notice what happens, okay? Arkansas, they are losing by 10. They have no momentum. We have started to take over this football game. Felipe Franks probably shook, has never really played that well against LSU. The last thing we want to do is give him an easy, deep completion to flip the momentum. But what do? Well, of course, we do the same thing that we showed you in the film study earlier. Play action fake. Is this an RPO? I don't know. You saw Felipe Franks look to see if Jacoby Stevens bites. He just rises up, and Jacoby Stevens jumps. Doesn't really mean anything because, of course, we give them an easy, deep completion. Now, explain to me why this made any sense. Why would we do this? With our backup corner going up against one of the best deep threats in college football, that one throw made it a one-possession game. That's what explosive plays do to you. That's why they're so, game-changing. That is a three-point play, right? Because you're going to get at least a field goal out of it, right? That makes no sense. So you notice, you see it here, play action fake. You'll see Jacoby Stevens just fly right in here. Jump. And throw the football deep. Now, why with our backup corner? Now, Jay Ward went on to win this game for us later, and I got to give Jay Ward a lot of credit. When the game really mattered, he did step up and make some big plays. Here, bring him down any way you possibly can, I guess. Arkansas, which is not the best running team. Let's force them. Let's at least force them to prove that they can run the football on us. Because up to this point, their only touchdown was a deep pass, which we also broke down yesterday. So the only way Arkansas has proven to us up to this point is connecting on a deep throw. Play too deep. I don't mind playing press with Sting because Sting is incredible, but everyone else, get back. Get back. And until you actually see him with the football, don't do this. And maybe Jacoby was supposed to stay back here and this was an RPO and he just bit on this. But no matter what, let's see if they can run. So I normally like to keep my film studies down to about 15 or so minutes, but we're going long, baby. I think you guys are die hard into this. So it's 27-17, and obviously, much like the Arkansas game, we're up by double digits. So we don't want to give up an explosive passing play. Let's go on ahead and run this play at full speed to see if you pick up on anything that we've talked about, recently. Once again, it's hard to keep up with everything when plays are running at full speed. Imagine what it's like to be a player, okay? So once again, Pierce, the running back who hasn't done anything against us, we commit all those guys to defend it. But notice, we're we're double covering Kadarius Toney, and it still didn't matter. So what can we do to potentially fix it? Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break this play down in slow motion, and I want to see if anything clicks. If you watch yesterday's film study, something might click for you where Dan Mullen potentially stole this play from, and we'll show you in just a second. So what Dan Mullen decides to do is he pulls this guard, okay? So normally for a linebacker or a run-stuffing safety like Jacoby Stevens, they are fooled, not necessarily because of the fake, but they are fooled by the pulling guard, okay? So play-action fakes that feature pulling guards really cause linebackers to bite. And notice Jacoby Stevens here is really biting hard on this, right? Even before the ball is even out of his hands here, you notice Jacoby Stevens is sprinting down. And the reason why he is sprinting before even to see if this play-action fake is going to happen, he's sprinting because he saw this pulling guard. Again, let's just show you that play-action fake. And here's Jacoby Stevens. And Kadarius Toney's right here. And it looks as if we have this thing guarded well. But Kadarius Toney does a good job not selling where he's going to go with this route. Okay, yes, we have it double covered, but essentially leaving this space makes this a foot race to this wide open space of the field. And that is exactly what Kyle Trask saw. He was able to sidestep all this rush, and once again, Dan Mullen did this all game against us. He created numbers. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys to defend a potential run to the near side of the field to a running back who's not that good, right? So why are we committing this guy to the box when we can still defend this run with the guys that we already have? It will show you how LSU did when they didn't commit guys to the box against a run. Anyway, Kyle Trask, wide open pass right here. Okay, and you can even see it better from the end zone camera, and it's essentially the same thing. And we didn't make any adjustments. It's lunacy. Okay, once again, we could put all the blame in the world on Bo Pelini, but Bill Bush, Corey Raymond, Ed Orgeron, somebody needs to say something. Okay, you can see it here. Jacoby is waiting for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, honestly, do we really think Pierce is going to beat us with the run here? No. It's just bad balance, and it's Dan Mullen just playing with numbers. But we had him double covered. Yeah, and all Kadarius Toney had to do was run into that space. Now, where did Dan Mullen pick up this play off of film? Well, the South Carolina game. You guys probably remember this play from yesterday, and once again, it is essentially the same thing. And what made this a little more effective is that South Carolina was killing us with runs to the edge. So here we go. Similar thing. We're pulling these guards. So once these safeties see pulling guards here, they really think it's going to be a run. And Cordell Flott, who is in man coverage here, all Colin Hill knows to do here is once he gets this play action fake, he knows that all this space is going to be open on this side of the field. I understand it's easy to pile on Cordell Flott, but I think, and trust me, Cordell Flott wasn't all that great last season, but you do become more sympathetic to him because, once again, much like the first play, which, by the way, he should have done a better job defending, still, he is put in a really bad spot here because look at all the space. If all you have to do is run this way, a lot of receivers who may not even be as fast as Smith would be able to beat him to the spot, which is essentially what happens here, okay? So notice that play action just commits all these guys, and there's no one, and I mean nobody, to this side of the field, and Colin Hill knows that, and it is a very simple pitch and catch. So Dan Mullen saw this play on film, even though we don't have the all-22. You see, Mullen knew that it was going to work because he knows that we are not that great at defending. We're really good defensively at giving offenses all the space to work with. So there he is, the architect. Alrighty, so this time I'm going to show you LSU defending the run, but on this play, we're not actually going to have Jacoby Stevens or Todd Harris sprint into the box, okay? So if Bo Pelini was sitting right here, he would say, well, my rationale for sprinting someone into the box, one of our deep safeties, is to help defend the run. And I totally get it, right? Our run fits last year were not great. We did film studies on that last week. But also, last week in those film studies, we showed that having more people in the box doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to stop the run. So you're seeing here, let's go ahead and just bring this back. We're getting an actual handoff here, but notice at the side of this handoff, Jacoby Stevens doesn't sprint in, but the key guy here is actually Todd Harris. He doesn't sprint in either. In fact, he's going backwards instead of forwards. And this is seconds after the running back gets the football. So we have a late reaction from the play side safety on getting this handoff, okay? We have no extra safety into the box. They have numbers. In fact, they block this play perfectly, okay? Andre Anthony is squeezing this down. He's not quick enough to keep contained. This slot receiver comes down and kicks out Jabril Cox. Not necessarily the best block, but it gets the job done. So now the play design is perfect. Dan Mullen actually calls a right run here, okay? We didn't commit enough guys in the box. We're going to run with the numbers that we have, okay? Once again, Dan Mullen, as we can criticize him all he wants, but he's really good at calling plays. So now Todd Harris, who was on his heels when this run began, has all the space to make up, and this run is definitely going to go for 9 or 10 yards, right? Right? It is, right? Boom! He goes right down. You don't need to commit more people into the box to defend the run, okay? The running back, God, I can't think of his name right now, did break off a long run earlier on this drive against a light box, but it had more to do with Kyle Trask having an amazing play-action fake, which fooled Jay Ward, and also Jacoby Stevens took a really bad angle. I'm not going to show you that play, but even then, we forced this running back to make a play, okay? And it took a miracle for him to have a 30-plus yard run, and even then, we want him. We want them to try and beat us with the run, okay? I mean, once again, look at this. We are deep into our pass set here, and I just remember just back in the day just watching Jamal Adams and Grant Delpit do this exact same thing in that Dave Aranda defense, being deep and then just bulleting like a missile. This is such good tackle football here from Todd Harris, okay? He recognizes this run, and look at this also. You got to give Jay Ward a lot of credit getting off this block right here by number 3, and that's the thing, right? If you commit, like we showed you in the film study last week, if we commit all these guys into the box, if we commit all these safeties to the box, the running back, if they get past there, they're gone. But if you have your guys back in coverage and they're reacting to the run, yes, we'll give up 3 or 4 yards here, but at least they're able to react to it, and we can make a tackle such as this one, and boom! This was one of the best plays I saw all game, okay? It's not just this simple, okay? It's not just keep your safeties back, okay? That is not the answer for Daronte Jones's, there's more than just this that were issues with the LSU defense. And believe it or not, there's actually a few plays where LSU did the same thing that I did not include in this film study, okay? Now, what is it that LSU needs to do? Why was the LSU defense so bad, even though we had these great corners? We had all those fancy smancy advanced stats from yesterday's video. We had all these different things. Why were we so bad? Well, it's because we gave up way too many yards easily, okay? Like we showed you yesterday, the one stat, the yards after catch, LSU was the only team in the SEC that allowed at least 5 yards after the catch on every single reception that they gave up. Averaged, not 5 yards per catch, 5 yards after the receiver caught the football. And that's the thing. If your coverage and your numbers are so bad, it doesn't matter. You notice in that first play, we showed it to you a little bit earlier, Kyle Trask had to go through progressions. We made the quarterback think. But every single throw that you've seen this weekend from yesterday and today, the quarterbacks didn't really have to think. They just honestly rose up and knew exactly where to go with the football because we were so out-schemed by the play design. The point of this video wasn't to be some kind of fancy coverage breakdown. Once again, I didn't use robber, bandit, any of these football terms. I just wanted to show you that, simply put, LSU's defense had a bad numbers issue. Okay, you go back to the Missouri game where Missouri started running the football down our throats. Then, when they continued to run the football down our throats, we got totally fooled on just a wide-open touchdown pass because both of our safeties were just keyed in on the run. And obviously, we would rather force them to run the football all the way down the field than give a quarterback a wide-open throw to a wide-open wide receiver, which that was the case in that Missouri play. So that's the thing. I just think that you look, if we just defended the explosive play battle better, that was the number one reason why LSU lost games. They had their issues on offense as well, but for the most part, that was the biggest issue last season. We got to do better. Now, also LSU, they just happened to have a not-so-great group of safeties, and I do give Ed Orgeron a lot of credit for saying that he really needed to address the safety position this offseason, and honestly, they really did. Even though the structure was bad, we just simply did not have enough foot speed at safety last season, and honestly, and I'm not just saying that because he is the one that's coming back, but I did think Todd Harris was the best safety LSU had last season. So I do think LSU, especially with Daronte Jones being an NFL safeties coach, is definitely going to be in a better position for all of this. Now, here's a little bonus for you at the end of the video. So this is directly after the 2nd and 10 stop right there by our guy Todd Harris. So even without having numbers in the box, we still held them to a 4-yard rush. And if you guys don't remember what happened on this very next play on 3rd and 6, where we got to run a fancy-smancy defensive scheme because we knew what they were going to do. We knew that they were going to throw. They didn't have Kadarius Toney on the field. Well, I think you guys know what happened on this play. If you want to know, guess what? We have a full film study right here. Boom! And we also have in the top left corner here, part 1, the piece that we kept referencing. You could watch that there as well. Comment down below. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! We're doing Boudin tonight. Let's go!